Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. We were a little off schedule last week around here as Dennis Koulatsos did the pregame in L.A., and now he's going to do pregame this week for Buffalo and pregame next week for the Jets. But there's nothing better than a postgame where we wake up, not only Dennis Koulatsos victorious in a different kind of way on a wet day and all of the good stuff that went on with that. But then you get the dessert of all desserts. I had leftovers, and so did Tom Brady. The Ravens are now finally, first time really in our lifetime, the number one seed. Dan, I don't know how to act. It's a little weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It just gets weirder by the week, Nestor. This team continues to amaze everyone and continues to amaze the naysayers too, right? This team can't come back from behind. They can't do this. They can't do that. But here we are, sitting alone, 10-2, number one seed in the playoffs in the AFC. And as you mentioned, with the playoffs, with the Patriots losing, look, they're in the cat's bird seat. If they can win out, we'll have a couple of home games here in Baltimore. And what could be better than that?
Well, you only get a couple if you win the first one. Remember that, right?
This is very true. That's a true statement. So, but I'm expecting us to win. Look, I already have my plans for Miami. I'm going either way, hoping to see the Ravens there. But I'm going to be there one way or another.
You're going to go either way. If the Ravens lose, you're going to go.
Yeah, well, truth be told, we're in a contest with Ford Motor Company that we're winning as a store. So Margo and I get 2 tickets. So we're going either way.
Well, good. I mean, it's because you're selling cars. I love it.
Yeah, but we'll be in Miami, and we have a way of getting 2 more. So Chris is excited. So look, it's a lot of fun. Hope that the team can make it all the way, but they're certainly in the conversation. They've earned it. They had a big win against the Niners. It was felt very much like a heavyweight fight, didn't it? It was they were trading body blows left and right, and to me, the better team was standing taller at the end of the game.
You know, I'm not going to talk to anybody else about that about this week other than you, because it's short week. You're going to see me eating ramen noodles and see me eating delicious family-style meals in Seoul, Korea this week, and watching football at 3 in the morning. You'll be watching all of that. But and it didn't hit me till about 4 in the morning. I was pacing the floor, doing what I'm doing, putting my Baltimore positive stuff together for this week. We have Police Commissioner Harrison next Thursday down at Fadley's. Come on down. We get back before the Jets game. But I got to thinking about the kick and it being a close game and being a December game and being a bad weather day. Dan, was there any Tony Linhart? Did you go back as far as Linhart? I would think that might be the original part of where you and I sort of came into this football Colts thing. The Tony Linhart game was one of my first memories of great Colt memories. And I lost my father that day. My dad went to the bathroom, and my name was called over the loudspeaker at Memorial Stadium on that day as the fog settled in. But it was that kind of a win and that kind of a game. So when you said heavyweight fight, if anybody Googles the Tony Linhart kick, that whole game felt like a heavyweight fight against the Miami Dolphins and shake and bake back in the day.
Yeah, Tony Linhart was a diminutive, soccer-style kicker, right? He was
absolutely
Was he Australian?
Austrian. Yes.
Austrian. There you go. Definitely takes me back a ways, but it's very nice to have a kicker of Justin Tucker's ilk to be able to get in there with the wind behind his back and the rain pouring down and a pressure-filled situation and split the uprights. Look, it was wonderful. It was epic, and another sports writer, I forget her name, I wanted to give her credit, but she said that this game, the Ravens didn't blow up the 49ers, but it gave them heft. And I love that word, heft. So now they're a hefty team, right? They're just not a pretty team. They're also not a finesse team. I think the Niners found out that out the hard way, that they were able to get in there and get dirty. And I think the weather certainly worked more so against the Ravens than the Niners. And Lamar was looking to make a play. And if Lamar Jackson doesn't fumble the ball, and the defender made a wonderful, wonderful strip of the ball, I think the Ravens win going away. But there's nothing to scare me about this Niners team. And look, I would love to see them again in the Super Bowl in the dry track, because I think the outcome would be much worse for them.
He is Dennis Koulatsos. The show is the Dennis Koulatsos Show and the Sunday Sports Voice of bringing it all together into one place at 3 p.m. on Thursdays. Joining us here, and he'll be on with Pete. And I'm not sure that I'm checking in this week. I got to do the time change on. I think it's 5 in the morning for crying out loud. But I'll be checking all the Raven stuff out. Luke will be out on the fields in Owings Mills all week long as well. Den, I guess as we start to look at this, and week after week, I see national reporters come around trying to get to the heart of this story, and Lamar, and week after week there's another quarterback, right? This week I've talked to these Buffalo folks, and it's all about Josh Allen and him being taken in the same draft and being overlooked and now finally blossoming. And the other part of this, you talk about the heft, teams are now measuring themselves against the Ravens. How are the Chiefs going to come in and win in January? How can Tom Brady pick it back up after losing to Houston? Can the Deshaun Watts, can they do it a different way next month? And by the way, the Steelers keep winning too, right? So we're all getting a little caught up in scoreboard watching a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's a natural thing to do to sit there and see how the other team is doing. But Buffalo, I watched a couple of the games this year, and the first one I saw was their loss to the Eagles. The Eagles took it to them, and then of course, we saw them on Thanksgiving Day against the Cowboys. They acquitted themselves much better. They have a great defensive line. Cal Lawson and Ed Oliver, they're two notables on that line, and Josh Allen is very much the part, right? He ran the ball well. He threw the ball with accuracy. He was efficient. The Bills are a very well-coached team. They're disciplined. They can run the ball. This is a measuring stick game for the Bills, and look, if they're not careful, they could be the 5th seed in the AFC if they don't win that division. This is a very big game for both squads. The Ravens, of course, with the number 1 seed at stake, and the Bills. Look, they could also, if the Ravens and the Patriots lose, they could end up with that number 1 seed, and the championship game could go through Buffalo. So this is a game of epic proportions like they've been lately.
Yeah, I'm struck by how many images of Tony Linhart in the fog in 1975 against the Dolphins we can find. Justin Tucker, right? As much as we had some fun with Sam Cook not punting and whatnot, and we talk Lamar left and Lamar right and Truss and Big Truss and Ingram and all that. Mm-hmm. In the end, we still have the best kicker, right? And on a day when Lamar fumbles, on a day when the defense gets run on a little bit, on a day when the weather's not real good, on a day when Lamar's not all that accurate, the kicker still, so much so that they like take a knee at the 30-yard line, right? Like we don't even try to get closer for him, do we?
No, you know what? It's the guy is just amazing. He's a big part of their success. He's been a big part of their success throughout the years, especially when the team was mediocre. But now that the team is very good, he's still very much a difference maker. We don't go to the Super Bowl back in 2012 if he doesn't make those clutch kicks in Denver, right? A lot of people, and I believe that may have been his rookie year, Nestor, correct me if I'm wrong, but the guy's been, look, he's the greatest kicker in NFL history, the most accurate kicker in NFL history, and he's also working on a Hall of Fame career with a few other Ravens. That's not lost upon us either.
You know what? In the greatness of all of this, he's working on a Hall of Fame career. Marshall Yonda's working on a Hall of Fame career. Earl Thomas is working on a Hall of Fame career, right?
John Harbaugh, Marcus Peters, it just goes on and on.
Wow, John Harbaugh. Okay, I mean,
they're in that conversation. There's a lot at stake here.
You know what? Sorry for me not saying John Harbaugh. He may be at the front of the class with all this, right? Like, literally, this is 3.0 Ravens, and he made it through the fire, and now he's going to have a chance to win big home football games. I mean, the Ravens have done a lot of things. They've had parades up and down Pratt Street twice, right? With 2 different eras of football players, and Ray Lewis did it twice, right? And I've done it twice, and you've done it twice. Lamar hasn't done it, and John's done it. But I tell you what, doing it this time around and doing it a different way, it really does speak volumes to say we could play an AFC championship game here. Like, I haven't had a whole lot of thoughts about that in 25 years, that game would be here.
Yeah, how great would that be, Nestor? And look, they have some things to clean up. They couldn't set the edge to save their life in Sunday's game. Judon, Bowser, Ferguson, they all got washed out. I've got to go back and look at the coach's all-22 film to see what happened to those guys. I mean, we knew that Kittle was a great receiver, but didn't know he was that good of a blocker. And then Earl Thomas and Marcus Peters with some shoddy tackling, so that this team still has some work to do. The players still need to be coached up. They had relatively good health with the Matt Skura injury aside. It was great to see Michael Pierce back on the field, but it was really disconcerting to watch the Ravens not being able to hold the edge time and time again. I thought that would have it cleaned up by halftime, but we saw more of the same in the second half.
Did the weather help or hurt the Ravens? You know, I guess in the greater picture, we're in Buffalo this week, right? We're going to have, you know, gnarly Cleveland, you know, Baltimore weather. You know, you're going to hope for Baltimore weather. You're not going to get Tampa weather the rest of the way, right? Like whatever Baltimore weather is in January, we got to hope that plays into our benefit. You know, I always think it helps the lesser team, and I think because the Ravens are the better team, whenever the weather's bad, if Tom Brady comes in here on a bad weather day, that helps the Patriots to me. I think it hurts the Ravens, and I think Lamar did not appoint himself as being a great wet weather passer. I don't think he's had a whole lot of experience in these sort of circumstances, and I do think that for anything that works on precision, including Coons Ford Security Boulevard, Den, you know, when the weather comes, slippery happens, things happen, it creates an element that you can't practice, right? And I think the edge thing was a little bit of a problem defensively on that case on the field, and I know it's different on the rubber field than it is on, like, real dirt. And, you know, I talked to Frank Kelly last week about why they don't play the Calvert Hall Loyola game, you know, down at the stadium, why they played it at Johnny Unitas Stadium. You know, I guess it's because of weather like what we had here. You know, I love that the games are going to be here. I want them to be here. I mean, bring Mahomes, bring Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Tom Brady, whoever. But I'm not sure bad weather helps the Ravens. I really don't.
Yeah, it was very slippery, Nestor. It was apparent early on that there were going to be some turnovers. I was worried about ball security from Lamar and also from Mark Ingram. And I was pleasantly surprised that they didn't put the ball on the ground more often than they did. And you can just tell that the ball was going through players' hands. It was very slippery. And I'm with you. I think the damp weather hurt the Ravens more so than the Niners. But look, give the Niners credit. They very, very fast defense. They made it tough on the Ravens. I haven't seen the Ravens in second and third and long situations all year. This was a first for me as well. But in the game against the Bills, check the weather, 44 degrees and overcast, dry weather. And I think that bodes well for this team. They'll be able to go up there in the dry track, and I think they'll be able to handle their business. There's nothing to indicate that they won't be able to do so. But I'm looking forward to a very tough fought contest. I don't think that the Ravens are looking past the Bills. I don't see how they can, given what's at stake for them and also for the Bills.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the Bills a little bit. I follow you out on Twitter with my turkey on Thursday. You know, impressive, right? I mean, impressive going to Dallas and winning in any circumstance, and whatever nails are in the end of the coffin of the leadership of Jason Garrett, whatever Jerry is going to do with the Cowboys, and they still might make the playoffs before it's. I mean, it's like a hot potato in that division as well, but. You know, for the Bills, this is as big a game as they've played too, right? We're starting to play big games around here. We talk about AFC Championship games and home playoff games and all of that. The Ravens are going to go into a firestorm of expectation up there as well. The Ravens are now the hunted. They're the team everybody wants to beat. Lamar's the guy everyone wants to slow down. And I didn't like Lamar getting banged around in the game. So I didn't like the leg hits. I didn't like the sideline hits. I didn't like him running into traffic. I don't think he can survive 20 games like the one he played Sunday physically. Just physically, there have been weeks where he's had a perfect jersey. Sunday was not one of those weeks.
Yeah, he got crushed a few times, and the rough-footed passer penalties were well deserved. The one was helmet to the hip. That was really egregious, and he got body slammed on the sideline as well. So they've got to look at the.
Well, Ingram got slammed to the ground and didn't get any laundry. I mean, at some point you got to cut it out, right? I mean, the 49ers were borderline dirty. I mean, for all the teams we've seen, they wouldn't have minded hurting Lamar Jackson. They wouldn't hurt their feelings. No,
not at all. But look, and they had opportunities to do so because of those second and third and long situations, but. But you're right. The Bills are very talented on both sides of the ball. They've been kind of under the radar. People said that we're the worst, 8-3 team that I've ever seen. No, they're not. They're a substantial team. They took the Patriots down to the wire, almost beat them, should have beat them. And Jerry Hughes, we've seen him before. Star, Little Lele, and as I mentioned, the other guys they have on that defense, they fly around, and that crowd, the Bills fans are wonderful fans. I've been up there a couple of times in games, and it's going to be very, very loud. They support this team no matter what their record is. And look, it's going to be a very, very fun event to go up there. And these teams, look, they're going to measure themselves against each other. That they may see each other again in the playoffs.
Dan, I know you're going to be here holding down the fort Thursday. I know Luke's going to be holding down the fort in Owings Mills. I was not really clear on this being, this version of the Ravens at 10-2 and this version of the Bills. But I will be watching on the iPad. I will be opining. You will be opining. And if I see someone on my iPad that's got a purple hat with the old flying bee on it, I'll know that you made the trip to Buffalo. But otherwise, you and I will circle the troops again for the Jets next week and hopefully continue this position of being the hunted. It's a different place waking up on Monday morning after Tom Brady loses on Sunday night for where the Ravens are, where they are in Vegas, where the level of expectation is. They're just supposed to go to Buffalo and win by a touchdown or two, right?
Absolutely, Nestor. And I just ordered myself 2 shirts, a tank top and a T-shirt that says, "Nobody cares, work harder." I'm taking my cue from Lamar Jackson, right? I think it's a wonderful message. That was his message in the locker room and on the podium post-game. And he remains very humble. This team remains very focused. They know what's at stake. Got to love their chances for sure.
Dan, have a great week. We'll see you on Thursday here from 3 until 5. And it's the Dennis Koulatsos Show. I am Nestor. You can find me anytime, anywhere, all week. WNST International. I may be doing some broadcasting from Tokyo, from Seoul for sure. I'll be out on the interweb, so you can find me out there every place that you follow me. All 10,000 of you on LinkedIn, all 50,000 on Facebook, all 25,000 on Twitter. Appreciate you. We'll be flying a little bit and getting stabilized and getting back down to business with the Ravens while Baltimore Positive is rocking here. 100 episodes of Baltimore Positive. Don Moeller and I have had a long conversation. You can find that out as well at BaltimorePositive.com. We have Police Commissioner Michael Harrison joining us next Thursday at noon at Fadley's. That happens on the 12th before the Jets and the Ravens. So plenty of things happening around here and plenty of great Baltimore Positive holiday conversations that Don and I put together for you. All right, I'm Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore sports.